Hey folks, welcome to another Passion for Sound audio review, and today we're taking a look at the Sivga Oriole Headphones. These are kind of an upgrade or replacement, but not really replacing the SV021s or the Robins, at least that's what I can tell from the website. And when I reviewed the SV021s or the Robins a little while ago, I really liked them. They didn't quite manage to displace the slightly more expensive Meze 99 Neos for me in terms of overall sound quality, but they're a really nice headphone for sure. And so when Sivga reached out to me and asked me to take a look at the Orioles, I was keen to hear if the extra $20 that you're paying, and by the way, these come in at $199, I was curious to see if that extra $20 over and above the Robins was worth the money. And so let's dive in now to see if the Orioles are different enough for both models to sit side by side, or to see if the Orioles are just a better headphone and the one that you should consider buying if you're in the market around that $200 mark. As I've already said, the Orioles come in at $199, making them just $20 more than the Robins. And other than the pricing similarities, there are some other similarities too. What I've got here are the brown version of the Orioles, but you can also get them with dark timber and black leather if you're interested in a different colorway. And I have to say that my first thoughts when they sent me the brown was I'm not as much of a fan, but the more I've looked at it and used it, I actually really like the brown. I like that it's a bit different. I think it's quite stylish, the colours they've chosen. But in terms of the colourway, it's very similar to the Orioles in that regard. The use of the wooden cups is very similar, but in this case, we've got this interesting kind of geometric shape in the cups themselves. And I'm not 100% clear if that's being done internally as well, if there's some machining to make it less prone to reflections inside the cup, or if it's purely an external aesthetic. Either way, it's an interesting look, and again, it's one of those things that's kind of grown on me. My first thought when I looked at them was I wasn't a fan, but the more I've interacted with them, I kind of like the design now. For those interested in wood, this is a Zebrano wood that they're using here, and it is genuine wood. And then housed on the inside, beneath these very soft plush leather pads, and I'm not sure if they're real leather, they feel more like a protein leather, but very soft, very nice to use, and I'll come back around to the pads in just a second. But on the inside of this is a 50mm driver that's apparently custom designed by Sivga themselves, and that produces a headphone with a 32ohm impedance and a 108 decibel sensitivity. For those of you not familiar with impedance and sensitivity numbers, what that really means is that they're easy to drive. You could drive them from a smartphone if it has a headphone jack, or any dongle, any desktop system you can think of. Coming back around to the physical design for a moment, they use 2.5mm inputs for the cable on the bottom, and they come with this lovely, in the case of the brown colorway, this kind of tan, it's kind of like a slightly orangey coloured cable. And that's got the 2.5mm connectors for the headphones and a 3.5mm connector for your amp, your source, etc. It also comes, of course, with a 3.5mm to 6.3mm adapter, so if you do have a full-size headphone socket, this will still work fine. And then the one other thing I want to talk about in terms of the design is that the padding on these, as I've already said, is very soft, very supple. As I said before though, I also think that they're using a protein leather, and the result of that for me is that on a warmer day, these can get a little bit stuffy after extended wearing. And that's going to be true of any headphone that creates a decent seal and uses this kind of protein leather finish. I don't find the same to be true of something like the Meze 99 Neos, which I talked about before, and I'll talk about again. And so it is worth being aware of. They're maybe not the best headphone for really hot climates, or at least not for extended listening in hot climates. But they're also not an overly stuffy headphone, so it's not like you put them on and you immediately feel sweaty and hot and stuffy. It was more like after a good 30 to 40 minutes, that's when I started to notice it, and it was quite a warm day here. So do be aware of that. It's not a reason not to buy them, but they're not the most breathable feeling closed back headphone. Moving on now though, away from design, which just to sum it all up, I think the design is fantastic. I think they look and they feel really classy. I just realised I didn't talk about the adjustment mechanism. They've got these really nice metal yokes here with a twist that goes 90 degrees in each direction. And then you've got this nice ratcheting extension. So you can get plenty of size on these. I don't think anyone's going to have much problem fitting these unless you've got a really gigantic head, but I don't think anyone's going to have too much problem. And so now with that out of the way, now that we have covered all the ergonomics, let's talk about sound. The sound from the Orioles to me is what I would call punchy, dynamic and fun, but relatively neutral. Or I should say relatively natural. They've definitely got some enhancement in the top end, which I'll talk about at length during this review, but the first things I noticed was the sense of punch and drive in the sub bass from these, and also that they've got a lovely sense of space for a closed back. We're not talking spaciousness like say an HD820 or a DCA Stealth, but for a $200 closed back headphone, they definitely don't feel closed in or claustrophobic in any way. They present vocals with a nice balance of both detail but also weight and richness to them. And despite having a bit of lifted sub bass, they've got a very crisp and clean sound. And it's because they've done some interesting tricks with the tuning that mostly work. It's not 100% perfect, but for the most part, and again, for a $200 closed back headphone, I think they've done wonders with the tuning here. As I said a moment ago, the sense of space is quite good. You've got a really good sense of width in the soundstage for a closed back. The sense of depth and layering isn't huge, but it's definitely not bad either. And I guess how I'd contextualize that is to say that for a closed back, I think the sense of depth and layering at this sort of price point is excellent. It's not going to compete with an open back headphone or much more expensive closed backs, but for $200 I think it's really doing a great job of the left-right size, a bit of depth and layering, and generally a nice spacious sound for a closed back headphone. And so let me circle back around now to the thing that I don't think is ideal here. And that is that I just find every now and again on some tracks, and potentially with some sources, the sound from the Orioles can get just a little bit unnatural. There's a little bit of extra emphasis in the 2 to 3 kilohertz area, and then again another peak at 10 kilohertz, and it can just throw some sounds like cymbals a little bit off. Some vocals can get just a little bit unnatural in their timbre. And then the other thing to mention is there's a really severe cut in sort of the mid-bass area, which has no doubt been done to prevent them from sounding boomy and bloated, and we'll talk more about that when we get to the Meze 99 Neos. So I understand why they've done it, but it can result in just the occasional track sounding a little bit unnatural. And I want to specify here that I'm not talking about it sounding bad. I'm not saying that they ever sound like I want to take them off, like I'd prefer a different headphone. I think for the price you're paying and the form factor and the fit and the finish, I think they're excellent. I just want to point out the fact that, as is often the case both with a budget headphone and also in the case of a closed back headphone, there's almost always going to be some trade-offs made. But for the most part, I think that the Orioles are an excellent headphone, and in my opinion, they're definitely an upgrade over the Robins. I really like the Robins, but I think the Orioles for that extra $20 just take you a step closer to a more natural sound. I think they've got a more balanced tonality, but they haven't let go of the drive and the thump that the Robins had. In fact, what they've probably done overall is pull back a little bit on the sense of mid-bass punch, and instead give it to you in the sub-bass. And I think that works better for a closed back like these because you don't get any sense of bloat or looseness. What you're getting is just a really good sense of punch and drive, but it still sounds clean and detailed and articulate, and I really enjoy the Orioles for that. But rather than talking about this all out of context, let's talk a little bit about them in the context up against the Meze 99 Neos. Now, I mentioned before that when I did my review of the Blonde B30s, the Sivga SV021s or the Robins, and the Meze 99 Neos, the 99 Neos came out on top. Which is not to say they're a perfect headphone. They've got a bit of bass bloat. They can get a bit loose and a bit woolly in the bass at times, but they were still, for me, the preferred option out of the SV021 and the Blonde BL30. And so I decided that the best thing to do here was just to put these straight up against the 99 Neos and to see if they were now as good or better than that $199 competition. As I did my listening, I ended up taking notes on 2 different tracks here just to highlight the differences between these 2 headphones. And the first track I went for was Stone Cold Crazy by Queen. Starting off with the 99 Neos, and on this track, they sounded really boomy. This was one of those tracks that for me, the 99 Neos go too far on. It makes it sound a bit slow, a bit bloated, and a bit woolly in the bass. When comparing to the Orioles, the 99 Neos gave me a slightly smoother sound, but it was that woolliness, that over fullness in the bass, made it just a little bit less enjoyable for me overall. And in fact, I'd almost go so far as saying that the 99 Neos came across a bit muffled due to that bass, whereas the slightly less smooth delivery of the Orioles, meaning that at times it was a little bit more aggressive, I think that's preferable on this occasion because I didn't feel like I was missing out on anything. Whereas with the 99 Neos, I felt like the bass was just masking or overshadowing some details and some clarity in the mix. And so the Orioles do control the bass a bit better. But on the other hand, I did hear a bit of harshness in some of the percussion, so things like the snares and the cymbals. And it did have me occasionally reaching for the volume control just to pull back a bit on the Orioles. So they are a brighter headphone. As I mentioned before, they've got a peak at around 2 to 3 kilohertz and again at 10 kilohertz, and that can bite on certain recordings and certain sources. By the way, my testing for this was being done on the Chord Mojo 2 with the Poly, and I didn't apply any EQ or crossfeed, so this was just a direct, very neutral connection. And so as I said, on that neutral setup, the Orioles could get a bit harsh in some of the snares and cymbals and things like that, but everything else in the percussion, everything else in the drum kit sounded so much better. As I listened to things like the kick bass, through the toms, all the way up through to the snares where it did start to get a bit rough, but everything else before that just sounded more right from the Orioles. There was a good sense of thump and kick from the kick bass. There was a good sense of body and weight behind the toms, but they didn't get loose, they didn't get woolly. And so for me, on a track like Stone Cold Crazy, I would take the Orioles over the 99 Neos because even though they do get a bit harsh at the upper end, everything else just sounds so good, and it just means pulling back a little tiny bit on the volume, or even using an EQ just to pull back on the 10 kilohertz a little bit, and maybe the 2 to 3 kilohertz if you're sensitive there. But given that Stone Cold Crazy isn't the best recording, I decided to try some more tracks, and another one that stood out to me was Emotional Storm by Avishai Cohen. Avishai Cohen is a double bass player, and in this particular recording, he's playing with a full orchestra. And starting off again now with the 99 Neos, the sound was lovely and full and rich. And this goes to show where the tuning of the 99 Neos can sometimes be magical and can sometimes go too far, like in the previous example. In this situation, the 99 Neos sounded wonderful with that full orchestral body and weight. The double bass was in there as well with a good sense of richness and drive and kind of rhythm to it. But I was aware that the bass was still getting a bit flabby from the 99 Neos. That's just the way they're tuned. And then moving across to the Orioles, it took all those things that were good from the 99 Neos and just made them all better. It better controlled the bass, it better defined and gave clarity to the percussion in the track, and the orchestra still has plenty of body and weight to it, but none of the flab. And so what you're getting with the Orioles is all of that sense of body and presence and that deep bass foundation that the music needs. But by cutting back as severely as it does in the mid-bass, it prevents the bloat, it prevents that flabbiness or that woolliness, and it means you can hear all the nuances, the textures, and the details. And so on a track like this, I wasn't finding there was too much harshness, if any, from the Orioles. And so their tuning became a perfect match with a track like Emotional Storm. And so where all this left me was that I think now the Orioles are going to be my preference, my go-to closed-back headphone over the 99 Neos. It's a shame that I don't have the 99 Classics here anymore to compare them to the Orioles because that might have been a closer battle, but I think the Orioles are doing a wonderful, wonderful job. And so for me, they're a headphone that I'm going to really comfortably recommend. It does come with the caveat that they're not 100% natural, but neither are any closebacks that I've tried so far. There isn't a single closeback on the planet that I think gets it just right because they're all making compromises to deal with the internal reflections of the drivers inside the cups and trying to make them sound more open than they can possibly be when you've got a cup around your ears. And so I think the Orioles are doing a fantastic job at the price point in the closeback market, and for me they're a very easy recommendation. There's not really a genre that I threw at them that they didn't handle well, and those slight areas of unnaturalness in the sound are things that your brain and your ears kind of adjust to pretty quickly. So I'd say that if you're in the market for a closeback headphone under $200 or up to $200, definitely check out the Sivga Orioles. If you're not a fan of the colorway here, they do come in the black as well. But whichever one you buy, one thing that I will say you're going to get is a really nice, clean, but punchy and dynamic sound. And so hopefully this review has clarified for you which of the closeback headphones on the market under that $200 mark might be right for you. The Robins are still great, the BL30s still have their own uniqueness, but for me the Orioles sit at the top with the Meze 99 Neo sitting just behind in terms of the best closeback headphones that I've currently got or tried. If what I've described sounds good to you, I'll put some links down below in the description. There's no direct affiliations with Sivga here, so I make no specific income from you buying these versus the Mezes versus anything else, but I will put some links down below. Some of them will be affiliate links probably through to Amazon, and I always appreciate any and all purchases through those links that help to support the channel. Speaking of supporting the channel, if you found this review useful or helpful or just enjoyable, I'd love it if you hit the like button, consider subscribing and ring the notification bell if you haven't already. For now though, let me leave it to the music, so happy listening and I'll see you here next time on Passion for Sound.